Hello, friends, and welcome to Weekly Witness, Texas Impact's weekly podcast designed to help mainstream Texans of faith understand the legislative process and help you engage with public policy in the great state of Texas. My name is Scott Atnip, your host and Texas Impact's Director of Public Witness, and we are in the heat of summer in between the primary elections and the consequential general elections. There is important civic engagement work going on. Now is the perfect time to use the Texas Faith Votes resources to figure out what you and your congregation plan on doing this fall. Interim hearings are taking place, and we know that many of you are following those. And Texas Impact is planning for our fall and looking ahead to the legislative session. The Texas Impact staff recently met in Austin and welcomed several new staff and new people to new positions. So we thought we would use part of this summer break to introduce you to our new team members. And we're continuing that series today with a conversation with Rebecca McIlwain, Project Manager of Houston Faith Votes. I know you'll be excited to hear from her today and get to know her as we move toward the general election this fall. Find out more about Texas Faith Votes and how you can get involved in that campaign and all of the other Texas Impact teams on our website at texasimpact.org. So that's enough wind up for today. I hope you enjoyed this week's conversation with Rebecca McIlwain. Joining us for today's conversation is Texas Impact's brand new Houston Faith Votes Project Manager, Rebecca McIlwain. Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is such a pleasure to have gotten to know you over the course of the last few weeks. I am really excited that we have you working out of the Houston office to do the incredible work that you're doing. And one of the things I love, Rebecca, is that you have a long history both in religious life and in organizing. So for those who haven't had a chance to meet you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Okay, great. Thank you. I'd love to. So yes, emphasis on the long life. So I have been around the block a time or two. I started my career in the 90s in ministry, actually, in the Catholic Church. Actually, it was late 80s. I think I started in 89. And I dabbled in youth ministry and adult religious education and campus ministry, both in the San Angelo Dioceses and the Fort Worth Diocese. And I actually was the campus minister at Nolan Catholic High School for a year in Fort Worth, which was a very fun year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, worked with the Marianists. Anyway, then I moved to West Texas and worked in parishes there and in Midland, Odessa. And then I found community organizing. I didn't even know it existed like that. And it was like people who organize in a nonpartisan way with churches and public schools to further the agenda of families. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. So I left ministry about 2000, and joined the community West Texas organizing strategy and then later Austin Interfaith. And I just found it to be such a transformational experience. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And then about 10 years ago, when my youngest child went off to college, I had the, inspiration or opportunity, realizing that for the first time in my life, I wasn't raising kids and whatnot. And so I left my life in Austin and I moved to California to train full-time, live and work at the Zen Monastery Peace Center in Northern California, where I had been going on retreats for many, many years, ever since being introduced to the practice of Zen meditation in the late 90s. And so it just was a marvelous experience of really devoting myself full-time to spiritual practice and living on 320 gorgeous acres in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. But as life has it, time passes and it was time to come back to Texas. I have 2 grandkids now, and it just felt like a good time to be back, and got back into organizing and was just delighted to find this opening here. All my family's in Houston, so it was sort of a no-brainer to come here. And I'm just happy as I can be to be back in organizing with faith-based communities. It's just the best.
Well, we are happy as can be that you are with us and doing this work. And one of the things I've really enjoyed hearing as we've gone throughout the series talking to the new Texas Impact staff is the why question. I really do think that this is a calling to engage in this kind of advocacy and civic engagement work. Why do you feel like you are called to this work, maybe especially in this time and in our current circumstances?
Yeah, wow. It is that is such a deep question and a very good one, I think, for everybody who's interested in civic life and has a faith tradition could and should ask themselves, right? Because that it dictates everything. And for me, the why is really the transformation. And I don't mean I mean in the world, but really for oneself. I was telling you when I got into organizing, what struck me, first of all, was how much fun it was. How much fun it was
Right.
to be engaged, to be a part of the what's happening in the world, to be a part of it. I remember telling my mentor, he checked in with me a couple of weeks after I started, and he said, because he was in a different town, he said, "So how's it going?" And I just remember saying with just lit up face, "This is so much fun." Doing meetings with political, with candidates for elected office and whatnot. It was just so much fun. And everything I got to learn about myself and the differences we got to make in the world. It was just, well, and by the world, the old Tip O'Neill, all politics is local. I mean, our neighborhoods, our city, our community. And so I just think it's just a lot of fun, but it's also, I'm also in it for the personal growth.
And I think you're right on that fun piece. We don't focus on that enough. I feel like a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know watch politics, watch public policy discussions on TV and get themselves worked up about it, but don't take that next step of engaging with other people in their community who feel similarly, right? And every time we get together with a group or an event, it feels like there is an energy that people are lacking, that people have been missing. And I do think we need to pay more attention to that fun piece, right?
Well, and yes, definitely. And just not to come off like a little Pollyanna, in the political environment that we're in today, it is easy to see. I mean, I can just hear people going, "Fun? Are you kidding me?" There is nothing fun about what's going on in the world today. And I would say, of course, yes. But here's the thing
Right.
about that. Here's where I go to. When I get so depressed or so, I don't know, just full of despair about what's happening in the world, because I can certainly go to those places as well. But what we're required to do in order to keep going and not just kind of, throw in the towel, is to get in touch with the deep caring that I think is underneath all that, frustration or sadness or whatever. And if we can get into tap into that, the love, the
Mm.
caring, commitment, then I think we can tap back into the fun, because then it can come from a place of joy. It come from, not giddy, ha ha, isn't this a hoot,
Yeah.
but a deeper sense of joy. In fact, I think it's what Beeman said a few recordings ago, joyful engagement. I really love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We've got a theme going over the course of this month. Love that. Thanks for continuing that. Well, one of the things that we do want to spend some time talking about today is the project that you are working on as the Houston Faith Votes project manager. You've got a lot of work coming up. Talk to us about that project and what has you excited.
Yes. Well, first of all, one of the things that has me excited is how excited everybody is who's participating in it. It's just contagious. So the project is a cohort of about 15 or so congregations who have committed to working on a get out the vote strategy, either within their own congregation or the community around their congregation. And so what we're doing, we are in a position, Texas Impact and Houston Faith Votes in particular, in a position to offer them intensive support, which is, our time, our resources of the organization, but also these micro grants to help to help congregations cover the costs of what these activities would be. And so people went through a process of applying to become a part of the cohort. We've now established who that will be, and now we're in the process of meeting with them one-on-one. They've already sent in their plan, what they're really wanting to do. Some of it is internal focus, meaning we're just going to work on get out the vote for our members. But some are also external focus, meaning we're going to do neighborhood walks or whatever around the churches or congregations as well. And so over the next 6 months, well, to year really, because it's not going to stop at the election. The efforts keep going because, civic engagement is an ongoing deal. So we're playing the long game here, And so we'll be meeting regularly as a cohort to share resources, encouragement, best practices, all that kind of thing. And, seeing if we can really bump the numbers in voter turnout.
And the hope is that you'll have this cohort that works together for a period of time, and that work benefits the rest of Texas the future. What's the next step? What's the hope?
So that's just Houston, right? So then what we hope will happen is after we can really aggregate the data and look at in what ways were we able to move the needle, then we can take what works and take it into other cities, other areas. So I think Caitlin mentioned here last time that there's a North Texas faith votes, but there's also the Texas faith votes. And so what other cities would want to duplicate this model, this pilot, and just see what, so it's a matter of looking, is it what kind of staff support? Is it what makes the biggest difference? Is it the micro grant? Is it what neighborhoods does it work well in? All that kind of information is what we're going to be gathering as we go along. And then, truly, the sky's the limit. If we can really mobilize faith communities, oh my gosh, the potential is huge for that.
Yeah. And I'll add, I've said it on the episodes the last couple of weeks, and I'll probably say it again in the intro today. The time, if you want to engage in civic engagement work, if you want to engage your community this election cycle, especially for congregations, you can't wait until September or October to start planning those efforts. That work has to start now. If your congregation is anything like mine, anyway. Why is that especially important that folks spend the lead time getting their projects ready before the fall?
Well, there's a lot. There are a couple of reasons that come to mind right away. One is the trust factor. Somebody knocking at your door on October 20th, to urge you to vote. That's one thing, and that's fine. That's very, doesn't do any harm. May do some good, right? But to really get out the vote, it depends on relationships. It depends on having that constant encouragement and understanding, and really the opportunity to inform people and inform one another about what the issues are, what's at stake, who the candidates are, what they all say, where they stand, all those kinds of things. You just can't wait till the 11th hour to get that and expect it to really sink in and change behavior. Those kinds of things take time. And the second thing is just it's really about reweaving the social fabric, if you will, and those things do take time. They say people have to hear things 8 or 10 times before they remember them, and I would probably that number is even higher for actually changing behavior. And so if we're trying to take people who aren't in the custom of voting and make them into regular voters, you just have to keep on message for and engage in those activities over a longer period of time.
It is a long-term project, and it is going to take a lot of relationship building, community work. And so my hope is that congregations are going to spend some time this summer planning what that might look like for this fall and beyond. You talked about the cohort, and I think we're really excited to see what comes out of that cohort. I would remind folks, wherever you are in Texas, whether you're in Houston or North Texas or anywhere in between, Texas Impact does have resources for you on our website. The team's put together has done a lot of work over the course of the last year or so to put together resources for your congregation to try to engage your communities. But Rebecca, I wonder, before we close out, any homework assignments or any closing thoughts that you might have to share with folks?
Well, I love what you just said, because we actually in our meetings with the cohort members, they're asking us about those resources. What can you put in our hands? What do we need to develop all these materials that we're talking about? And we're like, no, you don't. They're already there. And so any homework assignment, it would be to jump on the Texas Impact website and start tootling around and just familiarizing yourself with what is there. I know, being new, that has been the greatest training I could have had, is just looking at the website and seeing. It's been so impressive to see the work that y'all have done over the years and how readily available they are for people who want to just jump in.
It's right there for everybody to use. I love it. All right, Rebecca, really do appreciate the time today and appreciate that you're willing to come share a part of your story with Texas Impact as the Houston Faith Votes Project Manager. So it's been great getting to know you, and we'll look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thanks, Scott. It's been fun.
Hope you enjoyed this week's conversation with Rebecca, and I hope you'll consider checking out the Texas Faith Votes resources online at texasimpact.org. Now's the perfect time to start planning for your civic engagement work this fall. Y'all, there's something on there for everyone. As Rebecca said, I hope you'll spend some time tootling around on the website this week to check out all of those resources. Also on the website, Texas Impact has all of the resources for you to learn more and get involved. Check it out. There are tools, teams, everything for you and your congregation to get involved to make an impact this summer, this fall, and beyond. While you're there, I hope you'll take a moment to sign up to be a member of Texas Impact. Your membership supports this podcast and all of the work to engage Texans of faith to advocate for a more just and equitable Texas. If you have questions about any of it, please reach out. You can reach me at scott@texasimpact.org. And with that, I think it's time to close out this episode. So remember, the world needs Texans of faith active and engaged. So let's get to work.
Weekly Witness is hosted by Scott Atnick, engineered and produced by David Fasalo. Our executive producer is B. Moorhead. The opinions expressed on Weekly Witness are those of Texas Impact and our guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views of our sponsors. Weekly Witness is a product of Texas Impact, people of faith working for justice. Visit us online at texasimpact.org.